The conference room erupted in a cacophony of gasps and stifled murmurs as CFO Harlan Whitaker's voice sliced through the air like a whip crack. "You're OFF the project until you apologize to my son publicly," he bellowed. His face a bloated mask of crimson rage, veins bulging like twisted rivers on his forehead. I stood there, frozen at the front of the room, my presentation slides flickering behind me on the massive screen. Charts of projected revenues that now felt like mocking ghosts. The all-hands meeting meant to celebrate our team's breakthrough on the Apex merger had devolved into this, a public execution. Harlan's son, Tyler, sat smugly in the corner, arms crossed. His designer suit rumpled from whatever late-night escapade had left him reeking of stale whiskey. The room smelled of burnt coffee and recycled air, thick with the tension of 200 employees averting their eyes, pretending to check their laptops. My heart hammered against my ribs, a wild animal trapped in a cage, as humiliation burned through me like acid. How had it come to this? Me, Elena Vasquez, the woman who'd clawed her way from intern to senior director, reduced to a scapegoat for Tyler's incompetence. I forced a swallow, my throat dry as sandpaper. "Harlan, this is absurd," I managed, my voice steady but laced with the tremor of suppressed fury. Inside, a storm raged. Denial first, a frantic whisper that this couldn't be happening, not after 18 months of 80-hour weeks, not after I'd single-handedly salvaged the deal from the brink. But there it was, the betrayal laid bare. Tyler had botched the due diligence report, skipped key audits, fabricated numbers to cover his laziness, and when the board questioned the discrepancies, he'd pinned it on me. Elena's oversight. He'd whined to his father in private, I later learned. And Harlan, blinded by paternal loyalty, had bought it hook, line, and sinker. The room's fluorescent lights buzzed overhead, casting harsh shadows that made everyone look gaunt, complicit in this farce. Colleagues I'd mentored shifted uncomfortably, their silence a knife twist. No one spoke up. Not even Mark, my supposed ally in finance, who knew the truth but buried his head in his notes. As Harlan stormed out, slamming the door with a thunderous bang that rattled the glass walls, I felt the first flicker of something darker than anger, resentment coiling like smoke in my chest. I gathered my things mechanically, the click of my heels on the tiled floor echoing like accusations. Back in my office, the door clicked shut behind me, sealing me in with the scent of wilting orchids on my desk and the hum of the air conditioner. I sank into my chair, staring at the family photo on my shelf. Me, my husband Javier, and our daughter Sophia, all smiles at her 8th birthday. What would I tell them? That I'd been publicly shamed for refusing to coddle a nepotistic brat. Tyler, with his Ivy League degree bought by Daddy's donations, had waltzed into the company 6 months ago, assigned to my team despite zero experience. I'd tried to guide him, but he dismissed my advice with sneers, spent meetings scrolling Instagram, and now this. Betrayal wasn't just professional. It felt personal, a violation of the meritocracy I'd bled for. That night, as rain lashed against the windows of our suburban home, I paced the kitchen while Javier cooked arroz con pollo, the sizzle of onions and garlic a futile attempt at normalcy. "He can't do that, Elena. It's nepotism, plain and simple. File a complaint with HR," Javier said. His voice calm, rational as he stirred the pot. But his eyes betrayed worry, the lines around them deepening. Sophia played in the living room, her laughter a distant melody that clashed with the fury boiling inside me. "HR reports to Harlan." I snapped, my words sharp as broken glass. "They'll bury it." Fantasies flickered unbidden, storming into Tyler's office, hurling his pretentious espresso machine at the wall, watching it shatter in slow motion. But no, that was too crude, too immediate. Revenge, if it came, needed to be surgical, a slow poison that exposed them both without staining my hands. Sleep evaded me, the bedsheets twisting around my legs like restraints. In the darkness, doubt crept in. Had I been too harsh on Tyler? I'd called him out in our last team huddle, my voice rising as I pointed out his errors. "This isn't a game, Tyler. People's jobs are on the line." His face had flushed, eyes narrowing with that entitled glare, but I dismissed it as youthful pride. Now, replaying it, I saw the calculation there, the seed of retaliation. Guilt nipped at the edges. Maybe I'd humiliated him first, pushed too hard. But no, that was the denial talking, a weak excuse for his sabotage. By dawn, as gray light filtered through the curtains, resentment had hardened into obsession. I needed proof, something to dismantle their facade. While Javier snored softly beside me, I slipped out of bed, the cool hardwood floor grounding me as I booted up my laptop in the study. The screen's glow illuminated my face, casting eerie shadows. I delved into old emails, cross-referencing Tyler's reports with the raw data. There, discrepancies in the financials, timestamps showing he'd altered files after I'd signed off. My pulse quickened, a thrill of cold resolve. This wasn't just revenge. It was justice. The next day at the office, the atmosphere was stifling, whispers trailing me like shadows down the corridors. Colleagues offered pitying smiles, but no solidarity. In the break room, the coffee machine gurgled mockingly as I overheard two juniors. Elena's done for. Tyler's untouchable. Humiliation reignited, a hot coal in my gut. I confronted Tyler in his cubicle, the space cluttered with energy drink cans and unread reports. What the hell was that? I hissed, keeping my voice low to avoid drawing eyes. He leaned back, smirking, his cologne overpowering in the confined space. Dad's just looking out for me, Elena. You should have been nicer. His words dripped with manipulation, revealing the spoiled core beneath his polished exterior. No remorse, just smug entitlement. You fabricated those numbers, I accused, my fists clenched at my sides. He shrugged, eyes cold. Prove it. The challenge hung in the air, thickening the tension like fog. I walked away, heart pounding, but in that moment, the plan began to crystallize. Quiet, strategic, a web of evidence that would ensnare them both. Weeks blurred into a haze of calculated normalcy. I feigned compliance, emailing Harlan a terse apology that burned like bile. I regret any perceived slight to Tyler and look forward to resolving this. Publicly, in the next all-hands, I stood before the team, the microphone amplifying my steady voice as I uttered the words. I apologize for my tone in addressing Tyler's contributions. The room was silent, the air heavy with unspoken judgment. Inside, rage simmered, but I masked it with a professional smile, my mind racing ahead. Harlan nodded curtly, reinstating me to the project, but the damage lingered. A fracture in my reputation, whispers of favoritism eroding team morale. At home, Javier noticed the change, the way I'd stare into space during dinner, fork hovering midair. You're plotting something, he said one evening as Sophia slept upstairs, her nightlight casting a soft glow down the hall. The kitchen smelled of leftover paella, comforting yet cloying. I hesitated, moral conflict twisting my insides. Was I becoming the monster I despised? It's not revenge, I lied more to myself. It's accountability. But in the quiet hours, fear gnawed. What if I got caught? What if it destroyed everything? Subtle hints of my vengeance emerged in small acts. I began documenting everything. Screenshots of altered files, anonymous tips to the internal audit team about irregularities in the Apex data. Suspense built slowly, like a storm gathering on the horizon. Tyler grew paranoid, snapping at minor corrections, his eyes darting during meetings. Harlan, too, seemed on edge, his bellows in boardrooms more frequent, as if sensing the noose tightening. One afternoon, in the elevator's confined space, the metallic tang of anxiety in the air. He cornered me. You've been quiet, Elena. No hard feelings. His tone was faux conciliatory, but his eyes probed for weakness. None at all, I replied smoothly, heart racing. Inside, fantasies surged, exposing their family secrets, the offshore accounts I'd stumbled upon in my late-night digs. But doubt flickered. Harlan wasn't all villain. He'd mentored me early on before Tyler's arrival warped his judgment. Layered motivations clashed. His protectiveness born of love, twisted into corruption. Mine, fueled by betrayal, teetering on obsession. As part 1 drew toward its midpoint, the tension coiled tighter. I confided in Mark over lunch in a dimly lit cafe, the clatter of cutlery masking our whispers. "Tyler's covering up fraud," I said, sliding a USB drive across the table. Mark's face paled, his sandwich forgotten. This could blow up the whole company. His hesitation revealed his own moral grayness. Loyalty to me versus self-preservation. "I'll think about it," he muttered, pocketing the drive. That night, alone in my car in the parking garage, the echo of engines fading, guilt washed over me. Was I dragging others into my vendetta? The rain-slicked windshield blurred the world outside, mirroring my conflicted resolve. But the betrayal's sting prevailed, pushing me forward. Little did I know, Tyler was watching. His own suspicions brewing into a counterstrike that would shatter the fragile balance. The boardroom's polished mahogany table reflected the strained faces around it like a dark mirror, the scent of fresh varnish mingling with the acrid tang of stress sweat. It was the quarterly review, 3 months after my public humiliation, and the air crackled with unspoken anticipation. I'd orchestrated this moment meticulously, planting seeds of doubt through anonymous leaks to the press, subtle articles hinting at financial inconsistencies at Whitaker Enterprises. Harlan presided at the head, his tie askew, eyes bloodshot from what I suspected were sleepless nights. Tyler fidgeted beside him. His usual swagger dimmed, fingers drumming a nervous rhythm on his tablet. I sat opposite, my report binder open, the pages crisp under my fingers. Inside, obsession had evolved into cold resolve, a blade honed by endless rehearsals in my mind. But beneath it, fear lurked. What if the twist I hadn't foreseen unraveled everything? The meeting dragged, presentations droning on about market shares and projections. My turn came, the projector humming to life as I stood, the click of the remote echoing like a gunshot. "Ladies and gentlemen," I began, voice steady despite the heartbeat thundering in my ears. "I've uncovered discrepancies in the Apex merger data." Gasps rippled through the room, chairs creaking as bodies shifted. Harlan's face darkened, a storm cloud ready to burst. "What is this, Elena? Another stunt?" His words were laced with suppressed rage, revealing the cracks in his armor. Tyler shot me a venomous glare, his manipulation exposed in that raw moment. I clicked to the first slide, altered timestamps, forged signatures, mine digitally manipulated. "These changes were made post-approval," I said, my tone clinical, but inside triumph mixed with heartbreak. This was it, the slow burn culmination, vengeance unfolding in real time. Harlan slammed his fist on the table, the thud reverberating through the wood. "This is slander." Tyler would never. But his defense faltered as I revealed the audit trail, emails from Tyler's account directing the changes. The room fell silent, the tick of the wall clock amplifying the tension. Colleagues exchanged glances, their earlier silence now a dam breaking into murmurs. Mark, seated to my right, nodded subtly. He'd backed me up, his own guilt assuaged by the evidence. But as I spoke, inner conflict surged. Was this justice or destruction? Harlan's eyes met mine, pleading beneath the fury, a father's desperation laid bare. "You don't understand," he whispered hoarsely during a break, pulling me aside in the hallway where the fluorescent lights buzzed like angry bees. The carpet muffled our steps, but not the weight of his words. Tyler's sick. Diction. I was protecting him. Revelation hit like a punch. Layered motivations unraveling. Not just nepotism, but a twisted love shielding a broken son. Suspense peaked as the board deliberated in private, the waiting lounge thick with the aroma of stale donuts and brewing coffee. I paced, nails digging into my palms, fantasies of poetic justice clashing with doubt. What if exposing them ruined lives beyond theirs? Sophia's innocent questions echoed in my mind. "Why are you always angry, Mommy?" Javier had warned me last night. His arms around me in our bed, the sheets warm but offering no solace. "Revenge changes you, Elena. Is it worth it?" Moral grayness enveloped me, My actions justified, yet tainted by obsession. When the board reconvened, the chairman's voice cut through. "Harlan Tyler, you're suspended pending investigation." Harlan's roar filled the room. "You'll regret this." But it was Tyler's reaction that chilled me. A quiet, calculating smile as he leaned in. "You think you've won," he murmured, his breath hot against my ear in the chaos. Hidden motives surfaced. He'd been playing a longer game. That evening, as twilight painted the city in bruised purples, I drove home, adrenaline fading into exhaustion. The radio droned news of corporate scandals, a fitting soundtrack. But unease gnawed, Tyler's words lingered like a threat. At dinner, Javier sensed it. His hand covering mine across the table, Sophia chattering about school. "It's over," I said, forcing a smile, but guilt twisted inside. Had I become the betrayer? The phone rang, shattering the fragile peace. An anonymous caller voice distorted. "Check your email." Heart plummeting, I opened my laptop in the study, the screen's light harsh. Attached. Fabricated evidence of my own embezzlement, backdated to frame me. Tyler's counter-revenge, a mirror of my plan, but deadlier. Panic surged, breaths shallow as I traced the IP. His doing with Harlan's resources. The twist landed like a gut punch. My pursuit had blinded me to their desperation, turning the hunter into the hunted. Frantic, I called Mark, the line crackling with urgency. "They've framed me," I gasped, the study's bookshelves closing in like witnesses. His voice trembled. "I saw it coming. Tyler approached me weeks ago, offered a bribe to flip." Betrayal layered upon betrayal. Mark's moral complexity exposed. His earlier support a facade. Alone, resentment reignited, but now laced with fear. I spent the night fortifying my defense, printing hard copies. The printers were a mechanical ally. Dawn broke, resolve stealing as I marched into the office. The lobby's marble floors slick under my heels. Confronting Harlan in his suite, the panoramic windows framing a stormy skyline, I laid out the counter-evidence. "This ends now," I said, voice breaking with raw emotion. He slumped in his chair, the fight draining from him. "Tyler's out of control. I enabled it." Tears glistened in his eyes. A father's heartbreak, raw and authentic. The climax unfolded in a whirlwind. Internal investigators swooped in, unraveling the web. Tyler was arrested for fraud. His addiction revealed in court documents. A tragic figure, not just a villain. Harlan resigned, his legacy tarnished, but in a private moment he apologized, his voice hoarse. "I betrayed you first." The emotional payoff hit hard. Poetic justice tempered by unexpected consequences. My promotion followed, but victory tasted bittersweet. At home, Javier held me as I wept, releasing the pent-up guilt and obsession. Sophia's hug grounded me, a reminder of what mattered. Yet, in quiet moments, doubt lingered. Had revenge healed or scarred? The story closed on a shocking twist, an email from Tyler from jail. "You won, but Dad's heart attack last night. That's on you." Psychological impact crashed down, moral conflict eternal. Betrayal's cycle unbroken, leaving me forever changed.